Welcome back to another episode of the free VST Plugins Detective, where I review, test out, and demonstrate various free VSTs. For today, we are looking at the Palette One Studio DJ filter. I'm going to give this one a 3 out of 5. As you can imagine, this is a filter, and there's one particular use of this plugin that I actually think can be very useful depending on the case. Now, this is my track right now I'm actually working on, so this is like a work in progress. I'm calling the song tentative title, Living and a Van Life. Kind of cheesy, but kind of like a vocal splicing style house record. So to show you a little bit, right? A little like funky too, with some like funk elements here, right? And then it builds up to this right now. Again, this is just kind of like a work in progress. Something like this. Right, so kind of, I don't know, like UK-based style a little bit, UK house. Anyway, going to the main point of this video, of course, the plugin. This is a filter plugin, and what I like about this one, I'm not gonna lie, for producing, I actually don't think it's as useful, although you can, right? Then again, I think if I was gonna use a filter, I'd just use the auto filter here, but this is one knob. So I think this can be very, very useful. As you can see here, DJ filter for when you're DJing. A lot of DJs use Ableton when DJing. I think this is what's very useful for if you want a quick filter, whether you want to high cut or low cut. So if I play it, I'm just gonna do it, right? I put this on my master chain, by the way, right? There it is. So it's that simple. We basically have 3 different knobs or settings, and I can also configure it here in case I want to do anything like that. I guess you could use it when producing, but being honest, I probably would use just the auto filter here. I have the main knob here for the filter, right? Then I have the Q, which I will say, if let's say you are DJing, something about the Q, I feel like does bring out the certain like DJ-esque feel. Being honest, like to me, if I'm DJing and I want to create like that knob of, filtering movement that a lot of DJs do to create like suspense or effect, right? Which I'll admit I do sometimes. This doesn't have the same ring to it, so to speak, than something like this does, where, right? So I can adjust this here. And then I have wide and thin. I'm going to be honest. I've messed around with this plugin a lot. Technically, I guess one is more wide with a bigger stereo width. Another one's more kind of in the mid, so to speak. I personally don't really notice that much of a difference, especially if I'm using this. It's not that big of a difference, but just to show you if I have like this and I'm here. Definitely a difference for sure. It's definitely wider, but not enough for me to make it like that apparent. I probably wouldn't even touch this, being honest, if I was using it. But like I said, what's interesting is when it comes to a lot of these free VST plugin videos I do, I think this is the first one, I have to think about this maybe ever, that this is not necessarily meant for producing. I think every other VST I've ever reviewed has been for producing. This is what I think was primarily made, especially when I was reading about it from the developers. It really was made for people DJing. Not necessarily something you throw on a track or on an element, although you could, right? But like I said, you could easily just do this. And of course, I have way more settings here in terms of high cutting, low cutting, envelope attacking, like a lot more stuff I can do here, and I'd rather use this one, and this is my main filter I use when I am producing. But if you are DJing, this can be a little bit more tricky. I guess you could, automate this knob here, but this one allows you to go, in a sense, both ways, high cutting and low cutting. That, like, if I'm DJing and I want to, get this out, put out, and then like so.